in the center ring of the conservative circus, we have Congressman Andy Biggs. And yesterday, Congressman Biggs called for Congress to examine defunding PBS. And he's already co-sponsored legislation that would pull federal dollars from it. I say amen and boom shakalaka, Congressman Biggs. I do not know where to start because both of these subjects are like they warm my heart, the immigration and the PBS defunding. But tell us about that.
Well, so James, the most recent thing right here in Arizona, where you have the PBS basically putting their thumb on the scale and bailing out a Democrat cohort that they love so much, because Katie Hobbs is afraid to debate Carrie Lake, so they provide her a platform. But that wasn't just the last straw, because the last straw had happened months ago. When some of my friends, Congressman from Colorado, we introduced legislation to defund PBS because it has a history of playing fast and loose with the facts and supporting leftist causes. And it's time. I mean, look, there are so many media outlets and places to get news that you can get rid of PBS and will still be a well-informed or as well informed as you can get with some of the media outlets that we do have, place in this country. So stop sending taxpayer dollars when we have a $31 trillion deficit to a place that wants to undermine America.
Well, I agree with you. We had Representative John Kavanaugh on this week. He was going after AZPBS for what you were talking about, the whole debacle with Carrie Lake and with Katie Hobbs. And I think that this is an organization that hates the average taxpayer anyway. This should have been done a long time ago. I hope that this picks up steam and picks up energy, Congressman, and that when Republicans take back the House, that this will be, one of the top items that you begin to deal with.
Yeah, me too. And I think that we're starting to see a little bit of movement there, because I think there were just 8 to 10 of us that had worked to sponsor that bill. And I think it'll spread throughout the conference. More and more people in our conference are watching and observing, and they're hearing from their constituents. That's always important. When they hear from their constituents on this issue, they'll come along, and I have no doubt that we're going to get some opportunity to do something with PBS as the months unfold here.
Katie Hobbs was on PBS earlier this week. She was asked a question about the border, and she absolutely fell flat. She said, "I don't think that is my problem." Basically, she's just letting the buck fall on Biden's desk, because she said she would back President Biden in whatever he decided to do.
Yeah, look. Oh my gosh, what do you say, James? I mean, really, what do you say to something like that other than no, thank you? No, I introduced legislation that said that the states can enforce federal immigration law, and why is that? Well, it's because Joe Biden has abandoned the field. He's not enforcing immigration law, and he has actually made us so unsafe. 5 million people illegally entering the country in the last since he became president. Fentanyl, opioid deaths up, like 400%. Drug pouring across the country, all over the place. James, is a crisis on the border, and when our border state potential governor, heaven help us if that's the case, but if she becomes the governor, she's going to undermine our safety in this state. And thank God for Carrie Lake, because she's really out there willing to work hard, and she understands that this is an invasion, is willing to fight that.
Exactly. But to have that legislation pass as well, you know what? The states are responsible for enforcing the law if the federal government does. That would be fantastic. And then you put together a couple of states in a compact and they do just that. All of a sudden, we're solving the problem that was solved under the Trump administration, but that the Biden administration purposefully destroyed because they want open borders. This would be a stopgap against that. I absolutely love that, Congressman.
Thank you. And amen to what you just said, because we just 2 years ago, we had the border under control. Think about this. Yuma sector, fewer than 9,000 encounters in 2020 under Trump. Under Joe Biden this year, 340,000 encounters just in the Yuma sector alone. That's how outrageous this has become. 10,000 people a day still coming across the border, and Biden won't even acknowledge that there's a crisis. He won't send anybody down to the border to even look at it. And it's time. And the states are the ones that are bearing the brunt of his intentional policy to disrupt our border security. So we got to do something, and this is one way to do it.
Congressman Biggs, yesterday we had President Biden on television. He was complaining. He was wondering why the oil companies are not listening to him. Are you at all surprised that the oil companies are not listening to the president?
Well, they should never listen to this guy. I mean, this guy Joe Biden campaigned on the notion of eliminating fossil fuels. So why should Biden be surprised that anybody that you're trying to destroy would listen to you and want to cooperate with you? But in any event, it gets to the point, James. Biden doesn't understand why oil prices are high. Oil prices are high because he's emasculated our oil and gas industry and is out begging, tyrants like Maduro in Venezuela and OPEC and Saudis to give us more oil. How asinine is that? Why should you listen to this guy?
I don't think anybody should listen to him, and I'm very uncomfortable when you have the president of the United States start dictating to companies what they should be doing with their prices and what they should be doing with their profits. That is something that I think most Americans, should be uncomfortable with, especially when you see the contrast between President Trump and Biden when it comes to, the oil industry, when it comes to the fossil fuel industry. One cheered it, the other one's trying to destroy it.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, look, we were energy independent and gaining dominance under Trump, which makes U.S. stronger, safer, makes the whole world stronger and safer. And now you got China is amassing oil coming in, and they're getting stronger, and they want to use that and project that strength, and to the disadvantage of America. And how about this, James? The left complains about oil companies' profits, but they never say anything about the massive profits that big tech companies get, and all the while censoring conservative voices. It's just an uneven playing field on so many levels, and hypocrisy on the part of Biden and the left.
Congressman Biggs, they also don't talk about the big profits made by pharmaceuticals, which leads to my next question. The CDC is mandating that children be vaccinated. That came down yesterday. I want to get your thoughts on that.
That's got to be one of the first bills we've got to do, is either completely defund CDC or certainly wipe out this crazy policy. All of the studies that even CDC looks to and relies on say that children, they're not susceptible to COVID. They don't get sick. They don't transmit. They don't get seriously ill if they do get ill. I mean, the point is, CDC is going against their own data and their own science. And it's done for control. And I'm so tired of the federal government using and abusing its bureaucracy to try to control the American people who are supposed to be free and make these decisions. How about stop stepping between parents and their children? Let the parents make the decisions.